Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Michael McDowd. Russell Jackman is off today. At each commercial break, we are going to ask a trivia question, and today's theme is the 1920s. We'll see how much you know about the 1920s. We do want to welcome Watch SMSN.com, serving Indiana and beyond. SMSN Radio, your home for sports. Thanks to CEO and founder Brian Snow. Now, Mike, in the next segment, we're going to have a special guest.
Yeah, did you see me punching away at the camera?
I did.
That was my homage to the UFC fight that El Presidente Trump just put on. I loved it, and that's all I got. Well, we'll talk about it. It was fun, man. It was fun. Only in America. That's all I can say. I got a special guest. Why do we have him on? Because the planet's biggest, colossal, humongous, I don't know if that's a word, but I just made it up, sporting event is currently going on, and it is not lacrosse, it is not field hockey, it is definitely not the WNBA. It is called football, the beautiful game. The World Cup is alive and well in America, Mexico, and Canada. So, man, it's happening. It's going on. What is it, 48 teams playing? If I'm wrong, Eric will correct me, but it's come a long way since 1994 to where we are today. We're going to talk to the head soccer coach of the University of North Florida. His name is Eric Faulconer. He's a friend of mine, a friend of the show. He's a great guy. He knows soccer inside out. He knows sports. He's done talk shows. He hosted them. He's a great broadcaster. So if he wants to get out of this game, he can get into broadcasting. But keep your day job, Eric.
All right, you guys, audience, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Mike McDowd. And Michael, tell us, remind the audience who our guest is going to be, or who's coming on in the back.
Listen, he's a one-of-a-kind guy. He's really one of the best guys I've met in the game of soccer. I got a chance to work for him as the play-by-play broadcaster at the University of North Florida in Jacksonville, and got to build a friendship with him. Him and I went over copious notes to prepare for the matches, and he was always so kind to me, helping me get prepared for his women's games. And obviously that's a sign of who he is, because as a head soccer coach, he is prepared for anything and everything, and he's got a really great program. Became head coach in 2018 at the University of North Florida, and has just done an unbelievable job for the Ospreys. Prior to that was at Armstrong State University and Thomas University. I think, Eric, you have over 300 career victories in the game of soccer. But listen, we want to talk soccer. We want to talk a little about your program. First and foremost, as a friend, welcome to the show. And we always have a lot of fun with you. But, hey, you know what, man? The World Cup, the beautiful game, is here now. It's live, and people are talking. They're singing. They're crying. I mean, this is a big deal, Eric.
Yeah, it's been great. First of all, thanks for having me on. It's been a while, but definitely enjoy it. And it's been great. The games have been great. The crowds have been great. And the summer of soccer's begun. And we have another month, a little over a month left of it. So we got a lot of games to be played.
I've heard on the radio that, and this kind of warms my heart, that a lot of these players, this is the first time coming to the United States, and they're just enamored. They're saying the people are so friendly, the food's so good. I don't know what they were specifically expecting, but everybody's being really nice to them. And it's kind of a good feel-good story.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We hosted the World Cup in 1994, and it was questioned, why is America hosting the World Cup in '94? Soccer is not what it is now in this country, and this many years later, the '94 World Cup is the most successful World Cup in the history. Attendance wise, there was only 24 teams playing in '94, and it still has the attendance record. We have these massive stadiums in this country. 80,000, 82,000 watch France play today up in New Jersey. So going into this World Cup again, kind of same questions. Why is America hosting soccer? They don't care about soccer, but soccer's come a long way since '94, and a great league, and so far the crowds have been fantastic, and it's been really cool to see just how well the tournament's off to a great start.
My favorite part is watching. And this is aside from the soccer part of it. Apparently, the Japanese are cleaning up the fans are out there cleaning up because that's just their culture.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's one of the things too. The Japanese team leaves locker rooms spotless, and the kind of funny part, Jameis Winston jumped in and was helping them out. So he's working for Fox this summer doing some soccer work as an NFL quarterback, and so he was up there with the Japanese fans cleaning the stadium in Dallas. So pretty
Awesome
cool.
culture, we
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, and obviously the matches are great, guys. I mean, this show is going to be heard on the weekend, but it's Tuesday, and today France beats Senegal 3-1. Iraq and Norway are in the 45th minute right now, 2-1 Norway over Iraq. But there's your live updates. You gotta love that.
There you go.
As if Argentina and Algeria tonight. But a little quick, synopsis of who's playing, because let me just break it down real quick. Group A is Mexico, South Korea, Czechoslovakia, South Africa. Group B, Switzerland, Canada, Qatar, Bosnia. Group C is Scotland, Morocco, Brazil, and Haiti. Group D, the United States of America, Australia, Tokyo, Paraguay. Group E is Germany, Ivory Coast, Ecuador, Morocco. Group F is Sweden, Japan, Netherlands, Tunisia. Group G is these are a lot of teams. New Zealand, Iran, Belgium, Egypt. Group H is Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Cape Verde, who shocked the Spaniards yesterday. So you got to love those guys. Group I is France, Iraq, Norway, Senegal. Argentina, Algeria, Austria, Jordan. There's just too many damn groups. Portugal is in Group K. They're going to be the favorites. Colombia is in there. Group L is going to be the three lions. That, of course, is England.
How do they determine which countries go in which group? Because these aren't necessarily.
They're seeded based on their ranking in the world, and they pick from they make sure to try to make the groups as even as possible. So they'll have a very strong team, two solid teams, and usually a weaker team. So it tries to bid, and this is the most expanded tournament they've ever had. So FIFA likes to make money, and so they figured the more games, the more money they can make, and so they're printing it right now.
Yeah, and I want to apologize for reading off all the damn names. It was embarrassing because, first of all, we want to know who's playing. Wow, there's so many stories, and since we are part of a great country known as the United States of America, let's start off with our team, because what we did against Paraguay was, Eric, wow, execution. Controlling midfield, ball control. It was a thing of beauty. In fact, I'm going to use this word. I'm going to use it throughout the tournament. For them, clearly, I'm going to call this. That was poetry in motion, man. That was poetry in motion. It was a tactically a very good game. If you disagree with me, let me know.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think if you would have read social media for the 2 years leading up to this World Cup, we were going to go out in 3 games and it would be embarrassed, and the team didn't have any heart, and they weren't playing well, and Pochettino, the manager, didn't care, and all these things. U.S. soccer traditionally, fans are naysayers. They just it hasn't quite gone the way that we like it sometimes, and maybe but. They played extremely well when they needed to, right? At the ultimate time, you want to be ready to peak at the World Cup. These exhibitions, these friendlies, over the last 2 years are just a trying out process, really, to find the right group of players. And so I thought the setup was really good. The tactics were phenomenal. They played really, really well. I think Pochettino's a great manager. He's obviously managed at a really high level in Europe. And I think that was a great start, to go out there and probably have one of the best performances of the tournament so far. But now with that, expectations obviously are higher, right? You're going to play an Australia team that maybe going into that group, Turkey was the favorite, or Turkey, or however they're saying it now. I'm not really sure
They
the
just say it's Turkey,
pronunciation,
but
but
Yeah.
they were probably considered maybe the top of that group, and so they got upset by Australia. So this game in Seattle, which, as you guys know, Seattle is a loud stadium. If it's anything like a Seahawks game, the U.S. is going to have a huge home field advantage Friday. So
Yeah.
great start, and let's see if we can keep it going.
As long as they don't have, I remember when it was in South Africa, those horns
Those
were so loud.
Vuvuzelas, yeah, yeah.
They were so annoying.
Vuvuzelas, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
That
being
was
in the
awesome.
stands.
yeah. We had a Vuvuzela night here one night for one of our games, and it's just sitting on the sidelines listening to that for
Yeah.
90
Well,
minutes
hey, I
is
was
tough.
at the gym one time and we all decided, you know what? Just turn the volume down. We're just going to watch the game and just because
Yeah.
tell you what, let's go to we have to go to our first commercial break here, right? And just as a reminder, Eric, because these questions are not very hard. If you know the answer, don't say anything yet. We'll let you answer it when we come right back. All right. What was the name of the airplane that Charles Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic in 1927? That's our question, is what was the name of the airplane that Charles Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic in 1927? And since we have just a few seconds here, here's our silly pun of the week. What kind of concert only costs 45 cents? A 50-cent concert featuring Nickelback. Not bad, huh?
All right. That was actually pretty good.
We got a laugh
That was
from Mike.
actually good.
That's a good one. All right, we like that one. All right, audience, one more time. Here's the trivia question. What was the name of the airplane Charles Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic in 1927? If I remember, he flew into Oakland, right? Or he flew from Oakland to France. Well, yeah.
Oh,
it was
yeah. Yeah, that's right. I believe
All right,
so.
stay with us, audience. Sports Econ 101 will be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Mike McDowd, our special guest, Eric Faulconer. Trivia question number one. What was the name of the airplane Charles Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic in 1927? Eric, you were alive back then. What was the answer? Okay.
I'm racking my brain, but can't think of it.
Brian. Mike, what's the answer?
I think it very well could be Kitty Hawk.
No. That
Wrong?
Kitty Hawk was 1903, where the Wright brothers invented the airplane.
Yeah, okay, I'm wrong.
No.
The Spirit of St. Louis.
There you go. That's the answer. Spirit of St. Louis.
Okay.
All right. Mike, you want to
Was he from St. Louis?
What's that?
Was he from St. Louis?
I don't know.
Do you know?
I'm not sure why it's called the Spirit of St. Louis. Maybe.
I got a trivia question for you. Who was the youngest player in World Cup history to score a goal? What's his name? What country?
Youngest. And Pele scored pretty young.
Oh, there was
I don't know if it was
Bingo.
Pele. Was he 17?
You're right.
Who is that? I didn't hear.
Who's
Who is
Pele?
it? Oh,
Pele.
Yeah. Whom I got to see. I lived in New Jersey at the time. We played for the Cosmos, so I got to see him play several times, and was actually I had his last game. So my father took me 1978, I believe.
I gotta say,
Cosmos.
he's the guy who
Got to see him play. Yeah,
on the
so it was
map
pretty cool.
He's the guy who put soccer on the map for the United States.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Guys, one of the things I want to add, Eric, just really quickly about our U.S. team, a couple of key players people need to watch, and in particular, the striker. And I think you know what I'm talking about, Florin Balogun, the guy who plays for AC Monaco. His game was epic. I believe he almost had a hat trick, which means 3 goals, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. But one of them was taken away. But he had a breakout game, in my opinion. That's A, and then B. Also, Captain America. The guy who's everybody is talking about, Christian Pulisic. I keep screwing his name up, but he's a player to watch. Tyler Adams, the defensive midfielder, but those guys, and even Weston McKenzie is really good out of Juventus, the midfielder. But talk about those players real quick, and then furthermore, I think what people don't understand is all of our players pretty much don't play in America. We might have one MLS player, maybe on the
Yeah,
team.
it's
All of
very
them.
few. Yeah. I mean, the majority of the team it plays overseas. Most of them play in Europe. Playing some pretty good clubs or some pretty good leagues, and you're starting to see that. I think the major difference over the years, 1990, we sent a college team, to the World Cup in Italy, and it looked like a college team. And they did, they held their own, but they were done in 3 games and gone. A 94, a little bit better. Some guys that just started kind of maybe playing some professional soccer in Europe, a couple guys. And then, MLS started shortly after that. And so there was some chances for American players to play in MLS, but like Pulisic and those guys, they've been playing in Europe since they were teenagers. And some of them have international ties. Some of them are, a parent is a United States, citizen, so that's how they got on a team. Faulconer, his father served in Vietnam, which is a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I think it's been a good way of this generation of players is always considered really talented, but we weren't getting the same results that maybe we were getting earlier. So we're starting to see it. I also think the manager was the right selection too. I know we've had these different managers in the past. Some have worked out, some haven't. But I think U.S. Soccer went out and got someone that had some clout and some recognition that the players were going to respect. And I think it's still a long way to go. They got to get out of the group, and I think for them, success is probably getting to the round of 16. And then after that, anything that would be great. But they played extremely well the other day, and these guys have played in really tough environments, and so they're used to it.
Yeah, and you talked about Balogun. Really interesting story about him, Edward, is the fact that, believe it or not, and you hit on it a little bit, he had the opportunity to play for 3 different countries. His, I guess part of his family is from Nigeria.
Yeah,
His mother's from England,
yeah,
and believe it or not, his mom was over here in the US and she was pregnant, and the airlines could see that she was having potential, she was getting ready to deliver a baby. They would not let her travel back to England. So he was born in America, thus becoming a US citizen. And thank God he was, because he was the man of the match, no doubt about it.
yeah. It's been good, and Pulisic too is carrying a lot of the pressure. I think in years past that might have been like a Landon Donovan at one point or something like that. Pulisic had gone through a little bit of a dry spell, goal scoring wise, and just I think upped his play. He was really dominant on that left hand side. I thought tactically they were really, like I said, they were set up very well. They created a lot of overloads. They really frustrated Paraguay. So I think, the next game is going to be a little more difficult. Australia is going to be able to sit in a little bit more. They're defensive minded. Are we going to be able to break that down? And so, it's going to be exciting to see. And then, they can win the group by just, winning that game and getting 6 points and getting the right result in the other game. They could be ready through. They'll be right through if they win the next game. But, they want to win the group because that's going to give you a little bit easier draw down the line. You're going to get a third place team from one of the other groups, and that's going to give you a greater draw to advance. And so, really important game.
Let me ask you,
Uh,
Eric, how, from an economic standpoint, how much
Yeah.
money is involved with the World Cup?
The good thing about having the United States is so different from the rest of the world. This is going to be the most successful World Cup ever financially. They're going to make billions and billions of dollars. And the reason why is because a lot of these countries to put on this event, they have to build stadiums. They have to add the infrastructure. We had to make some tweaks that, SoFi, for instance, had to take some rows out because the field needed to be wider. But that stadium is, it's right there. We have stadiums in this country, they're not even hosting it, the Vegas, state, places like that we could put it in a lot of different places, right? College stadiums, whatever. So
Yeah, me
because the
too.
infrastructure is already there, they didn't have to put out all this money on the front end. The stadiums were already built. When they had it in Qatar 4 years ago, they had to build almost every stadium that was there to host the thing. Brazil had to do similar things, add stadiums and temporary stadiums and all this other stuff. So
How
it's
much
going to
does
be
it
really
take though?
successful.
I mean, I got to think that that like the television rights have to
Yeah,
be
the
worth a
television
lot.
ratings has been really, really good as well. I mean, the U.S. game, for instance, set a record. I think that just the average games are doing really, really well. you're getting the whole world, right? Not just the United States watching it. So unlike other events like our NBA championship, where there's going to be some interest in Europe and South America because there are some players that do play, this is being watched by everybody. And so it's just a massive financial boom for pretty much everybody, from the owners of the stadiums to the NFL teams that are involved, FIFA. FIFA was criticized for their ticketing policies, and everybody was like, "These things are so expensive; these stadiums are going to be empty." They're not empty. People are paying a lot of money to go to these games. It's
Well,
crazy.
how much is an average ticket now? For
I mean, it depends on the game. The average
Well,
ticket at the Miami site, because they have Brazil down there and they have Portugal coming up, so Cristiano Ronaldo and obviously Brazilians. Those tickets are in the thousands of dollars. It's hard to get into these stadiums. And Mike may have a little bit better idea, but I know for the U.S. game the other night, it was expensive.
yeah, no. In fact, just to piggyback on what you said, Eric, ticket sales and hospitality sales alone projected the earnings will be about $3 billion. Now, the group stage matches, as far as tickets are concerned, the lowest tiers, believe it or not, and Eric and I were talking about this off the air, 60 to 140 bucks. That's the lowest. Now, when the U.S. is standard seats for a U.S. match, 185 to 535. World Cup, the final, they're called Category 1 seats. They go for about 7,000 to 9,000 and $10,000 above. So you're talking for one game, $10,000. And it depends what you're really if you're just trying to go to the match, you're trying to get a VIP experience. And I'm actually reading something right here. What is it? So prices generally start for a package at $5,300, but an elite package goes for $70,000. That's a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. That's a
Yeah.
lot of money.
And I
what
don't
do you
know if
think?
you saw obviously Scotland played in Boston, and they brought a lot of fans to Boston to watch the game. The next night,
Yeah,
the Red
what do you
Sox are
think the
playing, and
final is
there's
going to?
8,000 Scottish people watching the Red Sox play a baseball game, singing and chanting. And I heard the environment from a friend he said it was incredible. It's not a baseball environment that you usually go to because there's no singing and chanting in baseball, right? And they were having a grand time because most of them have never done that either. So it's just been it's a celebration, really, and this country's a melting pot, and we have people from all over the world, and they're coming to the games.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to go to our next commercial break here, talking about the 1920s. Which stunt performer died in 1926 at the age of 52? And if you need a hint, I'll give it to you when we come back. But yeah, you guys might know this. Which stunt performer died in 1926 at the age of 52? All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowell, our special guest, Eric Faulconer. And our second trivia question, which stunt performer died in 1926 at the age of 52?
I
Anyone?
got a guess at it. How about Houdini?
Yes, that is correct. Harry
Hey, good
Houdini.
job. I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, and it's claimed that what happened was he died of a ruptured appendix. What he used to do is he used to challenge people, go ahead and hit me in the stomach, because he would tighten up and all that. Well, this college student caught him off guard, and
Wow.
unexpectedly he hit him a few times, and supposedly that's what kind of ruptured his appendix, and he didn't really know it for a while, and then boom, that's what happened. Oh, by the way, you know what? The Knicks won 4 games to 1. Didn't I say Knicks in 5?
Um, yeah, I think so.
Just saying. Just saying.
Hey,
All right, go ahead.
listen, Edward, quick question. Before we talk about the Knicks, I want to talk about I know you want to talk about the Knicks, and even, hey, let's talk a little hockey because the Carolina Hurricane did something phenomenal. But,
Yes, I did.
the 5 players to watch in the World Cup, because I know we have limited time, obviously, and I want Eric to kind of comment on all these players. I'm going to go to the number 2 player to watch because to me, he's got the most upside for the future. The kid out of Spain is a teenage superstar, Lamine Yamal. I mean, he is something that's a bit of a freak of nature, isn't he, Eric?
Yeah, you got some new names, right? You got some old names, right? You got Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo who are on the back end of the career. And this one thing about this tournament, there's about a 6, 7 day break in between games, which is very rare for the World Cup. Usually you got about 4 games. So for someone like a Messi or Ronaldo, that could be a pretty big thing. But yeah, Mike, I agree with that. Holland's playing for the first time in the World Cup. We got to see Mo Salah play for Egypt the other day. So there's some people that haven't had a chance to play that are some big names in soccer because of the expanded tournament, right?
Right, right. And you got to pronounce. I know a little bit about him. I can't pronounce his last name because he's French, but he's considered the number one player right now, and it's Kylian Mbappe, the kid out of
Mbappe,
France,
yeah.
fastest.
And our men's coach here is from France, so he was not
Oh,
happy with the first half performance of France. Mbappe stepped up in the second half. That goal that he scored from, what was it, 35 yards out today.
right.
He's a world class player. He was really good in the last World Cup, obviously. So yeah, he's definitely someone to watch as well.
Fastest guy on the pitch in the world right now. Also, number three, Lionel Messi, the defending champion. He's
Plays
still
tonight. Yep.
magical.
Yep.
Out of Argentina, and then Jude Bellingham, and then his
Mhm.
team. I mean, and then who's a great midfielder who really knows how to control matches. And then what he's known as the clinical finisher, the guy who just can. You know what, man? He can make you look silly, but he is the captain of three Lions, aka
Yep.
England. Harry Kane. Harry Kane
Harry
is going to
Kane.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are really, there's. I could go down a list of 25, but those are
Yeah,
some
and I
people to
actually
keep an eye
saw
on.
England play. I saw England play New Zealand in the last game, prep game here in America in Tampa. And Harry Kane scored. I think the unique thing about this World Cup is there isn't a strong favorite. France is considered a favorite. Spain, kind of sleptwalked in the first game. There's a lot of teams that could possibly win this, maybe more so than some other years.
Hmm.
Yeah, and in particular, we get all excited and I mean, I got a little heart for England. They always have perhaps some of the finest talents in the world, the Premier League. But when it comes down to the big song and dance, I mean, they've had Beckham, they've had Rooney over the years. They just can't get it done. But they're actually picked around third, possibly to win
Yeah.
this thing. This would be a massive deal. They would actually start an entire new revolution in America to win it here, huh?
Yeah, 1966 was the last time England won the World Cup, the only time England won the World Cup. And so they keep saying it's coming home, and maybe this is the chance for it to come home. Maybe it's here in the United States from all places, right? But it's going to be interesting. I think England has a good team. I'm partial to the Italians who can't seem to qualify for the World Cup anymore, which is crazy in a
Oh,
year like
geez,
this when it's
yeah.
expanded. I think again, you got a lot of teams, and watching these early round games. Spain lost their first round game last year. Argentina lost their first round game last year, I believe. And so, these early games is you want to get out of you want to get out of the group. You want to get yourself a pretty good seed, so you're not drawing a world class team in that next game, and the team that gets hot eventually starts to click a little bit. I think some of these teams, like a Spain, are going to click at some point, and maybe that was a wake up call for them.
All right, 10 seconds because we're 15 seconds, then we got to hit the Knicks. Do we have a shot? Does the U.S. have a shot? Do we have an
To win
outside
it, to,
shot?
to win it, I
Yeah.
don't think so. I think it's going to be too much. But can you go on and maybe go a little farther than we thought? I think it's a pretty good team. It's really comes down to it's the matchups, right? If you can get a good matchup in the next couple of rounds, advancing, sometimes it opens the door for you to make that run. And I think U.S. will probably need that to happen. But they look pretty good. I mean, is it a one off? We'll find out on Friday, right?
I gotta look at the roster for the Uruguay team to see if everyone's last name ends in OV.
Yeah.
That was seriously, there was one specific year that every member is of the team ended in OV.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
There was.
Got a lot of games to be played though here. So and a lot of groups, right, Mike? A lot of groups.
No, oh, sheesh, yeah, I was embarrassing. I apologize to our listeners reading all those groups. But hey, I know, Edward, you said this, but let me tell you, maybe the NBA is back now because uh, that series averaged more than 20 million viewers. And you can say what you want to say, but I got to tell you, when President Trump was at that game, America freaking watched, and you can't argue that. You love him, you hate him, whatever. But the NBA guys may have a little bit of found a little bit of a new life. Stay out of the politics crap. But well, I know whatever. But that was a big deal for the city of New York, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And if he would have gone to Game 4, it would have been a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
And
for a series that was 4-1, right? I mean,
yeah,
it was pretty fun to watch.
yeah,
I'm not an NBA fan, and I really watched the final. I used to be when I was a kid. They lost. I mean, in the '80s,
yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah,
The
totally.
Birds and the Julius Irvings, and
yeah.
and then I kind of and Jordan, and obviously, and now I'm kind of I don't watch it as much, but I watched most of this series, and I thought it was pretty good.
It was
Um,
definitely good.
you
Yeah.
know,
I
and
mean, Jalen Brunson, that guy was money. I mean, he's obviously the best player and left 45 points in the championship game 5. I mean, come on. He was the
Maybe
Bill
that first
Bill
penalty.
Russell MVP trophy winner. I mean, so congratulations to them. First time in 45 years they won a title, and well deserved for New York. They didn't destroy the city.
Before
Yeah, a lot.
73, it was 53 years. He
yeah,
scored
Yeah,
40.
isn't the last seven
Yeah.
winners? They're all different teams, something like that, right? So you had going back to it's been a while since you've had a repeat champion in the NBA.
Yeah,
Let's
you
see.
had
Yeah,
I mean, you got the
yeah.
Lakers winning it, Toronto won it, right? Milwaukee won it one year,
Yeah.
right? That's
He had
Was
you're
it
two.
looking at
He
the
did
was
that back to back with the Warriors.
back to
yeah.
back with
It's
the
been a
Warriors?
while, right?
Yeah.
The Warriors, but that's been
Almost
when's the
three in
last
a
time they
row.
won it?
But
Yeah, it's been some time, and
yeah,
so the Knicks winning it, right? And a lot of my friends, I'm a Giants Yankees fan. Everybody's like congratulating me, like I'm not a Knicks fan. I mean, I just didn't. I'm not gonna jump on the bandwagon. I can't do it. I don't have a favorite NBA team, so
but
Well,
it's why tear up the city? I mean, maybe you
yeah,
tear up the city, but it's like, I mean, if your team loses, okay, I mean, that still doesn't give you an excuse. But what's the deal about burning buses and taxi cabs and all that? It's like, come on, man.
it doesn't make a
Look what the
lot of
Japanese
sense,
do.
but
They
it
put that
seems to
trash. They
happen
don't.
every time teams win, no matter what it is, basketball or college sports. Even college kids do it. Unfortunately, it's stupid, but
Cultural
but
thing, man.
but they didn't burn down the sound in Carolina when the Hurricane just won their second NHL title, their first one in 20 years. Hold on, Carolina Hurricane. The South dominates the NHL
yeah,
right
another
now.
sport, Mike. You look at it, right? Like Vegas has won it, right? Tampa Bay, Florida, Carolina. When's the last time? It's been a long time since Toronto's been relevant. Montreal, Detroit,
Montreal.
Chicago, the Rangers, right? Like it's that sport too. That's a crazy one as well, right? Where it's so. I went to a Tampa Bay Lightning game a couple of weeks ago, and it was fun. I mean, it's really taken off down here.
No, it really has, and it's a sport that it's by far a level. We love soccer, but it's the best in-person spectator
So
sport
I think it's
I
the
think there
best.
is.
I think it's the best postseason. Like I'm a New Jersey Devils fan. They were great in the '90s when like Brodeur and some of them playing. But like when you watch now the Stanley, if you can't watch the Stanley Cup, I think it's a great playoff format. I mean, I really do. And maybe the early rounds are a little weird now. How they do it divisionally and stuff like that. But live, it's even better hockey, but it's pretty exciting stuff. And again, another event which I thought there was a good series that wasn't that competitive. I mean, ultimately.
No doubt about it. And just a sidebar, we were talking about the World Cup. A lot of the fans from Germany, Scotland are coming over. They're going nuts for the Waffle House. They're going to Buc-ee's, and
Have you guys seen this guy, Freddie?
Yeah.
He is living a charmed life. So this guy comes on, he puts a few posts out on social media on X, and all of a sudden he is just taken off. And today he was at NASA, touring one of the rockets that went to the moon. He's been, JJ Watt set him up pretty well in Houston. He met with the Saints and the Hornets, like crazy. He's been to a Buc-ee's, he's been to a Bass Pro Shop. Yeah, he's having a good time.
So it's funny. I'm not familiar with Buc-ee's. Is that just
Oh,
another?
whoa,
More of a
Edward, you
Texas
got to come out
Southern,
here,
like,
man.
I don't know what but it's just a massively large gas station. But it's a pretty cool place. Yeah, have you ever been to one? It's pretty neat.
Well, I'll try to, since my career's been in broadcasting, 15 seconds. It's a massively large gas station, Edward, but it's got like the most incredible pulled pork sandwiches,
Yeah,
brisket
that's
beef.
cool.
It's got a massive beef jerky section, fudge. It's got some really nice high-end items, for beach shirts, etc. I mean,
Is
it's
it in the
really something else.
South?
It's a sociological
I think it
phenomenon.
started in Texas, I believe. It's worked its
They
way
did.
into
They did.
Florida. We have one. I have one exit from my house. Like, so I've been there probably. I don't go
I
there a
did go to the
lot, but I
Waffle
step.
House when I was in Kentucky last week, and it was good. It's actually very good. I was surprised. Okay, guys, here's our third trivia question. What was the surname of the defendant in the 1925 monkey trial? This was Charles Darrow was the prosecutor. And what was the surname of the defendant in the 1925 monkey trial? All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial.
Eric, anything you want to plug? Sorry.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Eric Faulconer, our guest, and of course, my co-host, Mike McDowd. Third trivia question. What was the surname of the defendant in the 1925 monkey trial? Remember, this one is about evolution, teaching it in Tennessee. The last name was Scopes, the Scopes monkey trial.
Okay, of course, yes. How remiss of me not to know that.
Okay. So, Eric, did you want to plug anything before we?
You got any camps coming up? Because you are the head coach of the
Yeah,
University of Florida.
we start practice in less than a month. It's right here. Yeah, we got a little bit earlier. The NCAA gave us a little bit extra 2 weeks to get ready for the season, so we got about a 4-week preseason. Excited about our team. We made the championship game last year in the ASUN, and didn't win it. So, but we have everybody back for the most part, and so got a pretty exciting team. Had a lot of good results. Got hot with a really young group of players last year, and so.
Can you get me to be back as the play-by-play voice? By the way,
I will
love
do
doing
my
it.
best, man. You know that. I will try. I will try.
Thanks again for being our guest. Here's our thoughts for the day. These are wife thoughts for the day. So my wife asked, "Hey, why don't you treat me like you did when we first dated?" So I took her to dinner and a movie, and I dropped her off at her mother's house. And on a different day, my wife was massaging my head, and that was kind of nice. And she asked, "Hey, before we got married, who used to massage your head?" And I said, "Well, before we got married, I never had headaches." And that's how the fight started. All right, audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Sprays.